It's how not to drain your cooling system with JR. Welcome back to the Driveway Engineer, folks. I'm JR. Today I'm working from Canada on actually doing the stage 2 delete on my 2018 Ecodiesel Ram 1500. So this is the EGR cooler and the EGR itself. This is where it pumps back into the intake. I've already pulled the air box off. It's over there. I've already squirted some oil on the band clamp. I don't think you guys can probably see it down there. There it is. That's the band clamp. The nut's on the back side of that and looks very difficult to get to. So I already hit it with some penetrating oil. And I'm working up top here on disconnecting all the connections to the cooler itself. They're pretty self-explanatory. For whatever reason, you got two 10mm bolts here, two 8s over there, and then the tube comes off. I think that bracket has to come off. We'll work through it. It's not a big deal though. A lot of people from the Ecodiesel community and group asked me to do a tutorial, and the simple fact is that I'm just gonna cut all the shit off. Like, I don't care. I'm not ever going back to stock. So laying up under there and wrestling with connections for 3 days doesn't sound like a fun time to me. And I know in the comments somebody's gonna be like, I took everything off in 5 minutes. Good for you. I'm gonna take everything off with Senator Sawsaw, who's out to protect my rights. So as we go through this, if I find any tricks, I'll bring you back, but I don't think there's really much to it. I will show you how complex the exhaust of a modern diesel is and how simple it can be. I wanted to do a muffler delete, and I might do that at a later time, but right now it's an opportune time because my DEF tank's about empty. So I'm going to continue on. I'll bring you guys back when there's something you need to see. And here we are about 15 minutes later. I cut this bracket. I unhooked. There's a coolant line there. There's one on the side. They're both 8mm. I cut that tube right there. You have to actually unbolt it from the back side of the turbo. I could have probably done this in 10 minutes if I had started by taking this wheel liner out. But you see, you have tons of room on if you take the wheel liner out. So there's three 13mm bolts right there, and the thing's ready to come out, except for one bracket that I'm going to reach in there and sawzall. You can see it back there. That little guy right there, I'm going to cut that, and this EGR cooler is going to be off. And I'll worry about that up pipe and go from there. I think that I'll be able to reach it very easily from underneath though, especially hello Hazelnut. Hazelnut's taking my seat. Especially once I cut that for the SCRN filter or whatever. I don't care which filter it is. But once that pipe's out of the way, it'll be pretty easy to reach up in there. They're 8mm bolts, and it seems really likely that they're going to break, but we'll see. I'm going to cut that bracket, and I'll bring you back when I have everything off. So, see ya. All right, Hazel's telling me it's probably going to rain, which is fine because I'm getting to the point of frustration here. But I think that's the DPF. I don't really know. I don't really care. Here's the EGR and cooler. There's the down pipe. You can see that I cut literally everything, and I just don't care. This is never going back to stock. What everybody will say is, oh, what if I want to trade it in? You should probably just sell it outright, first of all. And second of all, I don't care. If you're that worried about it, you know, stand on your head, spend 3 days loosening bolts, whatever. Set it all aside nicely, bag it and tag it. In Michigan, they sell deleted trucks all the time and say this truck has been deleted and tuned, and you advertise it like All right, welcome back. It's the next day. I don't know if you can tell, but it keeps raining out here. It's kind of bringing me down. Everything to do with the EGR, the cooler, is all off. So you can see we have an open port up here. There's one on the back of the turbo, and there's a coolant line here we have to deal with. There's this junction here. This is actually a flat piece, so coolant will shoot out of that. What I did, again, to recap, is I cut the turbo up pipe here and pulled the EGR off that way. I unbolted that, and then there's 3 bolts on the side. I cut the bracket off of it, cut the down pipe. The actual down pipe itself to that flange, that's a 10mm nut, and like everybody says, it's in a really bad spot, but you can actually reach around behind, reach around. You can get behind there with a ratcheting wrench and get it done, which is what I did. I'm gonna stick you guys up here. I'm gonna try to stick you guys up here. All right, so right there's the block off plate that goes on the back of the turbo. You can see that I broke 1 bolt. I'm gonna put a nut on it, replace the other 2, leave the gasket up there. Hope I'm not making you seasick. Def lines, I cut them. I'll go back there and cut the catalyst, everything back to the bumper or muffler piece by piece. There's tons of room in here. There was a bracket here, I cut it. There was a bracket here, I cut it. You get the idea. If it was in the way, I cut it. So I will bring you guys back. Well, actually, I'm going to walk through the layout of these pieces real quick, and then we'll bring you back. So with the help of some folks on the Everything Ecodiesel Facebook group, 2 of the EGR cooler bolts go back into the block this way. That rearward facing coolant line bolts right to this and just stops it off. This is to hold your wiring harness. This goes on the intake. This goes on the back of the turbo. This goes between those 2 water lines. There's a cap right here for the EGR actuator. You can screw this in if you want for a boost gauge. I'm just going to plug it. I'm going to put a little dab of copper RTV right there and screw this on. And I will bring you guys back when this portion of it's done. This is what I'm going to do next, is install the cooler delete, and then I'll move on to the DPF back exhaust. So I'll be back. All right, so the coolant portion of the delete, of the EGR delete, is done. You can see how this works here. The gasket, the factory gasket's in there, and I used a nut and a bolt. I left these loose and let it float and find its own area. Tighten these down and then tighten those 2 down. Those are the factory bolts. Here the FlowPro kit comes with a little stepped adapter. That heater hose is a smaller diameter than that hose that was going into the EGR. So on the FlowPro kit, all that hose comes off, that quick connect, all that crap comes off. You take it off down here at that lower line, and it comes with a right angle. I had to trim it a little bit, probably like 2 inches. I could have trimmed it a little more. They give you more than you need, but yeah, you just put that right angle line on there, your hose adapter, and then it goes to the heater hose, and you're done with the coolant portion. I will bring you guys back when we're doing the block off plates. That's what's up next. So we'll bring you guys back when that's done. All right, the plate install is pretty straightforward. They provide bolts. I used a dab of copper RTV on the back side of that screw. That's so you can put a boost gauge in. I think I showed you guys that. They also provide new bolts for the turbo block off plate. That's one of the stock ones. It's like way too long. It goes in and it hits the schmutz in there, and then you can't run it all the way down. So I did have one break. I was able to do the whole thing right here by reaching through like this, and I just used a deep socket on a 1/4 inch ratchet. The stock bolts were 8mm. The new bolts are 10mm. You see that I broke one and I just stuck a nut on it. I got fortunate that it was clean enough to stick a nut on and proceed. So that pretty much wraps up the EGR delete. From here I'm going to move on and go to cutting the exhaust off, the rest of this stuff. So I'll bring you guys back. I wanted to take a quick moment here while my tuner's uploading for the stage 2 file. You can get these pipes for like 180 bucks on eBay, and I paid like $340 US to Ecodiesel Owners Canada. I'm telling you, it was worth every penny. I am not at all sad that I paid more. When people say you get what you're paid for, they're talking about stuff like this. This is thick wall. This is nice stainless. Like, this is good quality stuff. This is not going to rust. It's not going to break. I'm happy I got it. I wasn't even going to show it before I put it on, but it's really a really nice piece. So Ecodiesel Owners Canada has this. They don't pay me anything to say that. I pay full price. I pay what you pay. But this is a nice pipe. I'll show you guys when it's installed. All right, we got the tune rope, we got the down pipe hooked up. Let's see how ridiculous this sounds. We're at about this phase of the project, so I guess I'll give you guys a shot of what you get for your money here. Beautiful stainless pipe all the way back, flex joint up there, fits well. I had to cut 7 inches off of it. I had to cut that clamp off at the muffler. She was just not gonna cooperate, so no big deal. I'll buy another clamp. It's time to go for a ride. Let's go for a ride. I wanted to show you guys this the best I can. Everything's buttoned up, everything's working fine. There's no clamp at the muffler, but it seems to be staying put. It's got about an inch of insertion. Pun. Anyway, when you do this, you should always go in, and I forgot. I already did it once, but I'm going to do it again. Chris from EOC recommends you go in and set your trans adaptives. So you do that as follows. Go in your transmission ECU, reset adaption values, and then for whatever reason, on mine, this is kind of a pain in the butt to do. I've tried recalibrating it. I've tried it with a stylus. It just doesn't want to work. Alright, we're up to temp. I'm just going to point out that the def gauge will read half full at all times now. Thing drives nice. Scoots along. We'll do this. Definitely coal if that's your thing, and also it'll do a burnout. we'll do that on a less crowded road here shortly. All right, country roads, take me home. Kind of weak, but whatever. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Definitely recommend the EOC MR Tuning Stage 2. Also recommend country roads and learning how to drive your truck before you do burnouts. But it's a good time. We'll see you guys next time on The Driveway Engineer.